This is the $1 Million Rap Shop Podcast.
What's up? This is the $1 Million Rap Shop Podcast, and my name is Brent Tatum. And as always, I have Tabitha, my lovely wife.
Hey everyone! Hope you're having a great summer.
This is the podcast where we are learning how to build, grow, and sustain $1 million rap company. And today we're going to be going through a couple of topics, and we're going to be actually doing something new. We're going to be doing a product review.
Yeah.
And today's topic is learning to let go. And our product review is going to be on, actually, I'll save that. I'm not going to give it away.
No.
Yeah. Nah,
I won't say it, but
you have to listen through. It's something new we're going to be doing. We want to use products that we've used over the years. We want to give you guys some insight. Maybe if you haven't used them, or if you're thinking about using them and it's something we've already used, maybe we can give you a leg up on that.
Yeah. So last time we spoke about design and the design process in a rap shop. And if that sounds interesting to you, check out our last $1 Million Rap Shop podcast entitled Rap Design and the Importance of the Design Process, Part 2, featuring Dan Antonelli.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll segue on into the wonderful new podcast for today. Today's topic is learning to let go. So, you want to elaborate a little bit on this today?
Well,
learning to let go.
Well, what sparked this topic really is I can't remember what I was listening to or reading, and the way the guy was explaining it was, you can't grasp and hold on to new ideas and new things if you're so busy holding on to everything else. So if your hands are tightly held onto everything else, there's no room for you to have open hands to have new ideas and to grow. And so I thought that would be a good topic. That's something that I've certainly had to learn, and, learn the hard way on some things. And so I felt like it was going to be, good fit for today and for the season that we're in as a rap shop and the growth that we're experiencing. So that's kind of what brought it about. And there's certain topics within learning to let go that I kind of wanted to hit. And so I'll probably just go right into the first topic.
Let's do it.
So the first thing of learning to let go is you got to learn how to let go of some things in your shop. If you have a rap shop or a tent shop or sign shop, whatever you're doing. One thing that was really tough for me in the beginning was learning to let go of some things, just because we were growing and we didn't have time, or I didn't have time to do everything because I'm just one person.
Right.
And so you have to learn how to delegate some things. And so that's kind of where we're going to land for right now, is just learning to let go of some tasks and some daily things that you're doing that you can delegate to other people, because that brings about growth for you. It's growing the person that's working under you.
Right.
Because they're learning something new.
Right.
And you're utilizing their skill set. And it's also growing the business, because instead of just one person doing what you were doing, now you have one person doing what you were doing, plus it frees you up to do other things.
Right. Right. So tell us, what are some things that you had to learn how to delegate?
For me, the big thing was design. Design is something that I'm really passionate about. And, it's personal for me because it's why I got into the business. I didn't get into the rap business because I love wrapping cars, if I'm honest. I got into it because working at a sign shop and growing up at a sign shop, we were always bound to a 18 by 24 or a 4 foot by 8 foot sign panel, or
and a single or maybe 2 or maybe 3 colors, but that's a lot of layers.
Yeah,
if you were doing cut vinyl,
you didn't have a lot of room to be creative because you were dealing with a lot of corporate stuff, and it was very cut and dry. And creatively, when the rap shop opportunity presented itself to me, and it's something that I wanted to do anyways, but the design part of it is really what drew me in, because now, instead of designing on a 2D flat substrate, you're designing a 3D vehicle with endless colors, because before you had to worry about colors. If you're working on a lighted sign,
Mm-hmm.
which we did a ton of, you have to worry about what colors are going to light up great. You have to worry about different translucent vinyls, or just the colors of vinyl. You were kind of held back by the vinyl itself. And so when large format printing and the vehicle wrapping industry started to grow and birth out this stuff, it was just awesome for
Exciting.
me, because I wanted to just jump right in and design all that stuff. So for me, whenever
Well, I think like just thinking back when you're talking about it, I just remember seeing the race cars, and that's really where we were seeing it so much first,
yeah
was the race cars, because everything before that was all painted and then decaled. And then now you're seeing these race cars going around there with these full color, awesome graphics.
mhm,
And then sometimes they were still doing overlays with like reflective, or a lot of times you see, especially locally, you'd see a lot of the neon, because the neon didn't last very long. So you knew that car was probably going to get tore up that weekend.
yeah
But the wraps were something that would last. And we would just print a quarter panel if that was what was messed up. We could ship it the next
Mhm.
day. We'd print it, laminate it, ship it. And so talking about the design part, that was,
and
I think that for me, and I had nothing to do with the business as far as design, printing. Well, I did print, but
mhm,
like from the creative aspect,
yeah
I loved seeing the graphics on there, and it just looked fast. It looked like it had motion to it,
yeah
which I think that's why everything suddenly was filled with prints.
that's because I was such a good designer.
Well, that's
No,
true.
but that was something that was really hard. So when we hired our first designer,
Mhm.
it was me, you, and then we had an extra designer,
Mhm.
because I was learning that designers were easier to find than rappers
Uh-huh.
early on.
Well, and you could trust the process. So the difference also was that the vinyl, a lot of that was new,
Yeah.
and we were new to it. So we had to make sure that you were installing it
And
in
this
such a
was-
way that you could make sure that it was not going to come back to us the next 6 months to a year. And so the only way that we had quality control over that while he was still learning, because that was before we had like 3M certified, Feller certification when they used to have
Mhm.
that, and then Avery. This is before those certifications that you were starting to have and obtain. And to be honest with you, for everybody that's listening, is that when you first started out, you just didn't have the money to go to some of those programs.
Yeah.
So
And- well, 'cause
here
you
you
were-
were doing the installation itself, and you were trying to make sure quality control. I'm going to put this on because I can't afford to redo it.
Yeah. And also the wrapping process, like I was saying, rappers, this was back in 2008.
Well,
Somewhere around
2006
there.
when you started, so 2007, 2008.
I think-
2008 is when you got it.
I think
like,
that's
you
when
started
we
spending.
hired the first person. But yeah,
we were in a
so
recession.
so I had a bad habit of standing over his shoulder while he was designing, and he used to get so upset. and it was hard for me to not micromanage that process, because I was so attached, because
You had a formula. You had your own formula.
not
of
only
what
that, but
worked.
you get these customers that are used to what you design
Mhm.
and your style of designing things, and they
And the other
expect that.
person they design differently because they're a different creative.
Yeah.
person.
Or, just the process of saving a file, or where they're putting it, or there's so many things. And so,
This is before you had processes.
yeah, the process was just me. I was the process.
Well, and if you needed a file open, we just like, okay, what did you name that? So there was there was
then-
nothing that actually like there was no process so that you
Yeah.
would know exactly. It was in your brain, and you had to be able to, in order to delegate, which is number one, is what you're saying, is that you had to learn to delegate some things. You had, in order for you to let go of some things, to delegate some things, that means you also had to make a process so that those people could access your
Mhm.
knowledge and your wisdom. So, so number one was that you have to learn to delegate some things. Tell me about number two. What would that be?
You have to learn to let go of some old habits. And, you know, whenever I would delegate something, and this is really where I started to learn and grow, because I'm not a very organized person. I'm just not.
Well, you're creative.
And so sometimes if I'm designing on the fly and I'm moving super fast, there's no telling where I will save the file back then, because I'm just like save because I didn't want to lose it, because
Mhm.
the programs that we worked on, it would crash every once in a while, and I went through losing files and having to rebuild the whole file. But so I got into the bad habit of just saving stuff wherever
Mhm.
and not really organizing my file system as I was designing.
Correct.
And that was something that was a really bad habit, that when we brought on another designer, he actually helped because he was a little bit more organized.
Mhm.
And so,
Well, he probably dealt with the frustration of your unorganized
yeah,
self there and
I was
made
teaching,
it better.
I was teaching him without even knowing it. I was
What
giving him a
not to do.
situation. Yeah.
What not to do. Hey, we've had those episodes, but that's, I mean, in all honesty, that has to do with the disc profiles that we talked about before, is that everybody has their different personalities. And
Yeah.
so if you didn't see the disc profile episode before, check that out.
And, some more of the old habits were, let's see. I mean, I had so many old habits that were just not great. Like when a customer comes in and he's telling you what he wants, and, whenever you're first starting out, if you're a small shop, you're running from the back because you hear the door ding. So you're coming to the front, you grab a sticky note and you're just jotting it down. And then
we had a shop dog too, so our dog would run would greet our customer.
and then the sticky note gets lost, and then you're just like, well, where did it go? And then it's embarrassing for you to have to call the customer and say, what exactly did you want again? Because I lost it.
Yeah.
And so we had to get in the habit of
letting go of those bad habits.
We had to get in the habit of, okay, when someone comes in, we actually have an intake form. We have to have a process.
Well, and this has to go with a startup shop. So a startup shop, everything's in your brain, in that person's head. They're the designer. They're wearing every single hat. So you think that everything is in your brain. So that's all you need. But it's wrong, because as you're trying to grow your business and be able to delegate it to different aspects of your business to other people, you have to be able to give that information to someone else, to transfer that information over to someone else.
And if you're a rapper, one of my old habits for rapping that now it absolutely drives me insane, but back then I didn't care, was whenever my installers are rapping, I'm very strict about just trash and material being everywhere while they're rapping. It drives me crazy. So, but it's funny when I go back there and I'm like disciplining them for it, or ragging on them about it. I'm like, hey, we have 4 trash cans back here. You can't make it into a trash can. If you throw it in the garbage once, you don't have to pick it up again when it's on the floor.
This sounds like what I say to the kids.
Exactly.
Our kids at home, not
but I remember rapping, and I remember it was like a tornado. Every time I would rap, it would be so disgusting. The shop was messy, but that was it was an old habit that as you grow, you have to learn that you can't just operate the same way, because what happens is you're setting a bad example for the people you have coming in.
Wow.
and then you're having to retrain them on what not to do. Yeah, exactly. And so that was another old habit that I really had to be mindful and just kind of let go of.
So in order to let go, you said number 1, you had to learn to delegate some things. Number 2, you had to learn to let go of some old habits. And number 3, what would that be?
I think with the way things are changing now in the rap industry, new tools that are coming out, you have the Rap Institute, and you have people coming up and stepping up and doing instructional videos and different things. The one thing that I really had to look at to let go of was old techniques.
Wow.
And when I started wrapping, when we started our shop, I had an Alpha knife and I had a squeegee, and that's all you had. And for me to have it, and the buffers that we had, I had to use the soft side of Velcro. Like that's what everybody was using,
So
because
you're not using that anymore?
no,
Oh.
because because it was sticky on one side, and it was about the same width as a monkey strip or a banana buffer, whatever you guys use. But it was the soft side of Velcro, and it would allow the squeegee to glide across the wrap. And so that's what we had.
Mm-hmm.
But as you go to the shows and you learn and you see new products that are out, you have to grow with that, and you have to let go of some of those old techniques that maybe you picked up as an old school wrapper.
Yeah.
If you started way back when the industry first started, you had to learn how to grow with it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I remember before wrap gloves even existed, we would use a rag. Like,
Yeah.
I would put my finger in a rag, and you would use a rag if you needed to put a deep recess, or you had to use the 3M rollers.
Yeah.
And when you got
No,
3M certified,
when we had the magazine, and I would always look through the magazines, because we'd get the new magazine.
oh, the Shiny Fellers magazine.
The Fellers magazine with the big wrap on the front with his truck or whatever else he had just wrapped.
Cowboy hat and all.
Cowboy hat and all. And then I would open it up, and I'd look at all the new products. I'm like, hey, we should get this. And I remember seeing the Rolly Pro, and I remember showing you the Rolly Pro, and you're like, that ain't gonna work. And we got it, and you used it. But then the heat gun, and because you always use a torch, you still use a torch. But I mean, just different stuff that you part of the process is also trial and error, seeing what works for you.
Yeah, I mean, one tool that really, I think, changed the industry was the Rolly Pro, for sure. Because before then you used a rivet brush.
Mm-hmm.
And I always hated the way the rivet brushes made the vinyl look. I felt like it chewed it up.
Yeah.
And I just didn't like it.
It was pretty rough.
Some people still use a rivet brush. That's just what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are really proficient in it and good at it. But for us, when the Rolly Pro came out, it just changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so but I will say, whenever we bought it, it sat in the drawer for a while, because I used it once.
I think you were intimidated.
I used it once, and I ruined the panel. And so I was just like, well, that
This
doesn't
thing
work.
doesn't work.
Yeah, throw it in the trash. It doesn't work. But now it's like, it's an industry standard.
Yeah.
And the glove is the same way.
And there's so many, I mean, because I'm removed from the installation process, just going to the show.
Oh, you've done your fair share of installs.
Well, I did back then. Obviously I don't do them now, but that was before all these extra tools, and before some heat and some buildings, because I was pretty frozen without any heat in that one race car we were doing. And I was laying on the ground, and
we were in the trenches for sure back then.
Yeah. I remember. No, I shouldn't tell that story, but anyways, we'll go on. I was going to talk about the time when I grabbed the wheel.
Grab the wheel. No, don't do that. No, I'm going to tell it, actually. So we were driving. This is so off topic, but it's okay. It's
kind of funny though, but it's dangerous.
We were driving from a late night job. We had worked
value your time.
Yeah, we had worked all night long, and we were on the way back. It was like a 4.5 hour drive. We had done some race cars, and I was driving, and I was just in the zone.
Well, we had worked the whole day, drove 4 hours,
worked all night
in the cold. The building was freezing cold because it was near the mountains. And so it was really, really cold. I don't do well with cold weather, period. We are near the beach, Oceanside. And then go ahead. So it's all night.
Yeah. So we were both dead tired, and I was
we left when they were walking in with their morning breakfast. They came in with their morning breakfast and coffee, and we were just leaving our work day, night.
Yeah. And so I was driving, I was in the zone, and I was just like zoned out. I was awake, but I was out of it. And Tabitha was just snoring away in the passenger seat.
Yeah, but I kept trying. You kept telling me, you said, don't fall asleep on me. Don't fall asleep on me. And I kept thinking in my head, don't fall asleep. Don't fall asleep. And my eyes were like in the cartoons where they have the toothpick holding it up, and then like the toothpick starting to fail on you. And then it's like pops out, and you're like, oh, and you're sleeping. Yeah. And then I kept dreaming that I started to dream, don't fall asleep, don't fall asleep. And as I dreamt, don't fall asleep, I saw you in my dream. I saw him running off the way, like off the highway in my dream. So that's when I woke up from my dream.
Yep. And what'd you do?
I grabbed the wheel. I grabbed the wheel and jerked it. I was like, ah!
So she woke up. I mean, it's dead silent in the cab of the truck. And she wakes up out of a dead sleep and screams and grabs the steering wheel. And I thought we were going to die.
Thank God.
It scared me to death. And
he was awake after that.
Oh, wide awake.
Yeah.
Wide awake.
Yeah. So the point of the lesson
what were we talking about?
The point of the lesson is value your time. Make sure that you rest so that you'll be your best and you'll come back home alive.
Mm-hmm.
Learn from our mistakes.
But what I was talking about before was the wrap glove. I remember when the wrap glove came out and it got really popular. And, the first ones that came out, they were okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like the ones you have now that are super nice and like the Pro Series gloves that they slide so nicely across the wrap. And so when those first came out, we had some installers that were using them, and I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the way it felt on my hand. I couldn't get used to it. I didn't like wrapping with it because my knife would slide around in my hand, and I don't know. I just couldn't get used to it, and I was just like, I don't want this thing.
Well, you were used to your habit, and I think that's it. Old habits die hard.
Yeah.
They're so hard to die because you just got so used to your way and your way of doing things, and then in comes someone else bringing in some other way of doing something.
Yeah.
And having to wrap your brain around this new concept, I think for a business owner, when you're the kind of person that just grabs the bull right by the horns and you just go at it, I think it's a little bit hard to stop and realize that there's a learning curve to anything new that you're going to do.
But I can't remember what kind of vehicle it was, but I remember I was like, all right, I'm going to use it. And then it was like I had a breakthrough. Woo! And I was like, okay, the glove's not so bad. And
flashing light.
I still, if I'm wrapping today, I can't wear my glove all the time. It stays in my pocket until I need it. I don't know. I just don't like it.
I like
to
the
touch.
Michael Jackson glove.
I feel like I can't feel what's going on with the film as well.
Okay.
And I don't know. It's just a quirky thing that some guys can wrap with it on the whole time. I just can't do it.
So are there any other old techniques that you would say that you had to let go of besides like some of the products that you weren't using? Any other techniques, whether design process, your customers?
I'll go. This is not really a technique, but it's a business technique, I guess. If we're shifting gears from the physical working side to actually the business aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember payroll for me was always the worst. It was the most god-awful. Payroll and sales tax were the most god-awful things for me to do.
Yeah.
And I remember us being here so late at night, just trying to make sure we had the taxes right, make sure we had the payroll tax right.
A lot of this stuff didn't automatically populate like they do now. Technology, oh my gosh, it's like the word is a godsend. It's a godsend because we just did not have those, like QuickBooks didn't integrate back then with your banking account. So then we also had a different, it's probably giving a little bit more information than necessary, but when you're first starting out, you're trying to figure it out and you don't have it all streamlined yet. And so we had one company handling this, another company handling this, another company handling this, then we handling different things ourselves. And so the more streamlined you can get that, where it's like a process that flows freely, that would help a lot. Because back then we were doing QuickBooks and the banking and all that stuff, and we had a different credit card processor than what would integrate with there. So it was not fun.
It was
not
mess.
fun. Yeah, he's right. And we would bring our dog to work, and then our poor little dog would just look at us, little puppy dog guys, like, "Are we going home yet?" Because we didn't have kids yet.
Well, because we worked all day, and then we had to do that stuff later on whenever all the customers weren't coming in.
We did break and get us a good dinner though most of the time.
Yeah,
because we had been working.
But the one thing that I remember that really it was kind of a breaking point was I think I had miscalculated something on payroll tax, and we ended up owing like quite a bit. And I was just like, we cannot continue to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like this is a business practice that is not good for us right now. And so we actually ended up getting a payroll service.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, whenever I let go of doing payroll and we let someone do it for us,
Mm-hmm.
they wrote the checks, they calculated the tax, they sent in the
Yeah.
tax to the state. It was just, I mean, it was amazing. And it freed me up to do so many other
but you
things.
were hesitant about it
I was.
because we had a different
Because
issue.
it's expensive.
Yes,
It's
but we had a different issue, and I won't go into the issue, but we had a different issue going on. And I'm the kind of person that when I keep hearing that there's an area of opportunity for growth, aka an issue, a problem, that's how I refer to it. So there's an area for growth. I kept hearing the same thing. And I was like, okay, we've got to find a solution or else we're going to continue dealing with this forever. So then that's when I did some research and I found out, and I had to give all the good information to my wonderful, amazing husband / CEO / company owner and everything like that. And when I did, yes. And when I did, though, I had to sell it to him because this was going to free him up. And it had so many other benefits. But to be honest with you, we didn't know all of the benefits at the time that were going to come. And it has so served us like unbelievably well within the business and for you.
Yeah.
And within the business every year, every month.
And what was cool, and I know what you're alluding to with the issue, but I'll just talk about it. I don't care.
I didn't
but
want to go into the issue.
Once we got the payroll service and we were like, okay, this is good. And when I said it was expensive, it's not that you can't afford it. Like it's super expensive. It's just, I was afraid to let go of those dollars because I didn't see the value of the time that it took for us to sit here and do it for hours.
The headache. He was paying to not have a headache anymore. So I'm saying to you to make the investment to free up your headaches, to do what's going to make an investment in yourself and in your own time.
Yeah, and when I started looking at the tax penalties because we would screw up, I was just like, well, just getting rid of the tax penalty. I mean, it's already cheaper.
Well, and you got to stay up to date with all the laws and all the other stuff. So there's so many benefits.
And when we made that change, it was a long time ago when we did that. But that's even to this day. And I'll give you a little nugget. Just recently, I don't know if you guys have heard of the employee tax credit that they were giving businesses. Why are you giving me that look? You don't want me to talk about that?
I mean, you can talk about whatever you want to. It's your podcast.
So this is that's funny. But this is, I don't mind because this will help somebody. So whenever they had the COVID stuff going on, you started hearing all these things about, the PPP loan was one thing. So if it had not been for our payroll service that has all of that stuff already together, they spit out a report for $0 and it was seamless to the bank. And then it allowed us to get a PPP loan.
Right.
But then going a step further, the employee retention credit, that's what it is. It was huge for our company, but had it not been for the professionalism of the payroll company having everything already done for you.
Yeah, all the I's dotted, the T's
I would have
crossed.
missed out on all of that stuff.
Right.
And my accountant is actually who started all that and told me about all of this stuff, the tax credit. So, getting a good accountant and getting the payroll service was huge for us. And on another aspect, we went a step further with the payroll service and we got a time clock. Because we were having guys write down their times on a time card. And it's, if we're honest, I can't remember how many hours I worked in a certain day. And sometimes people forget to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it just holds people accountable. It holds me accountable. And
Well, it makes it easy because who wants to, at the end of the week, to be honest, who wants to sit there and then try to calculate the 15 minutes plus 2 minutes plus 5 minutes? Who, like, seriously? I mean, we're beyond that because we were on a punch clock where it had certain time. Then you'd have to, we would let our employees, they used to have to time, like, because when you have one, you're not thinking I'm going to pay for a payroll service. So you're just doing the easiest, cheapest method. But then that person, you're having to let them at the end of the week add up all their time. Then you have to check to make sure that it's correct and accurate. Then you pay the person. But then if there's any discrepancies, you got to fix that. Then you got to worry about time accrued for time off or vacation hours. And when you have a system like this, it honestly just pays for itself because everything is there. And you can see how many hours are worked, how much vacation time is accrued, how much paid time off, and all that other stuff. You get to log everything in. And then there was a fingerprint system that we were able to do. So no one else, if someone else is clocking in, nobody else could clock you in for you. And you would have to be the one responsible to clock yourself in and out. And if there's a skip, like a missed one, then we could go back in and fix those things. But it just made it so much easier.
Yeah. So the time clock we have, it's fingerprint. You walk in. If you're an employee, you put your fingerprint on you, it clocks you in. And what I liked about it is it made me not have to question my employees.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you see something on a time card and you're like, did he really work overtime that day? And was it really that many hours? Well, it's putting me in the position of making me look like I don't trust my employee to my employee.
Right.
And so it kind of, it plays the middleman and it takes me out of it, because if he didn't clock in, then he didn't work.
Right.
Or he made a mistake or whatever. But it's easier to fix an AM versus a PM than just questioning him.
Right. Right. So it was just, if you don't have Plug for that one, I guess we won't say the Plug company, but if you don't have a payroll service, it would be to your advantage to look into it. No matter how many, they have it prorated for however many employees that you have. So if you have 1 to 5 or 5 to 10, whatever the amount is, so you might really want to look at it, because they also keep you up to date with all of those laws, your posters that you need for your office. So it's just, I mean, and, you know, we even looked into, they have other aspects too. So we had another issue with something else, and we even looked into insurances through the company, and they were able to give us quotes, and it was so quick. So anyways, so let's go on. So so today's topic again is learning to let go. And in order to elaborate on that, we talked about number 1, that you have to delegate some things. 2, you have to let go of old habits. 3, that you have to let go of old techniques. And number 4, would you like to finish with that one?
Yeah. So,
well, there's a little bit more left.
Number 4 is something that I really had an issue with too, is you have to learn to let go of some customers. And what do I mean by that? I mean, whenever I first started, and whenever you're first starting, or even now, if you're a shop and you're hungry and you're going after business and you're a go-getter, you want to service everybody. I mean, you want to service everybody in the world.
And the person that you gave a quote for that didn't come to you, and then you see their work driving down the road or in the parking lot,
it hits you. But you have to, what I had to understand was I can't wrap everybody in the world's vehicle.
Yeah.
As much as I want to, I physically can't do it. And we just don't have enough resources or people to do that. So I had to learn how to let go of the emotion that was attached to that part of the business. I don't like losing. And so like you were saying, when I give somebody an estimate and we didn't win that job, and I see it going down the road with, you know, somebody else's wrap on it, I'm just like, man. And
then you start with the whole process in your mind. What went wrong? What happened? What didn't I do well enough? And then you start thinking, was it the contact? Was it the design? Was it just whatever it could have been?
Yeah. And I think some of that's healthy, but it was to the point where I was beating myself up about it. Exactly. And it would ruin my entire day if I found out.
No, it would really beat you up. You were really hard on yourself about it.
or you would be out having a great time, you know, after hours or out eating or wherever, and then somebody comes up to you and you're like, hey, I saw such and such got his wrap done with this company on the road. What happened? And you're just like, thanks for ruining my night, you know, like, because you weren't aware of that, and they just hit you with it out of left field. But I had to learn how to let go of that, that ruining my, like, the mood I was in, or just knowing I can't service everybody.
Well, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. And I mean, the only thing you do is give your best, do your best, put your best work out there and let it speak for itself. And you have to let the rest go, like you said, because if you're going to beat yourself up, you just can physically not do everyone's work. And even at some point when you're expanding is what I'm saying. So like, even if you're expanding and then you hire more people and you hire more people and you have all these people coming in and everything like that, at the end of the day, at some point through that growth time, you're not going to be able to service everybody. And just be honest, like, not everybody, like, you're not always going to be somebody's cup of tea, and people have different connections also. So they're going to be loyal to the people. Hopefully there's some loyalty still out there. We seem to see that there's a lot of loyalty, and we like to be loyal to other people who we do work with or have done work with. So with that being said, you have to understand that there are other companies, there are more, it's almost like it's almost like dating. It's like there's more fish in the sea, you know. But
the quote that just came to mind was, what is it? If you really love them, you have to let them go. And then if they come back to you, then you know it's meant to be. And that's happened. You know, we've lost jobs, or we've had clients that we were servicing that went somewhere else because maybe we couldn't get to them quick enough, or they built a relationship with someone else. And they snuck in the door.
With like marketing, somebody having a new marketing manager, and they want to use the people, the connections that they already had, and you were the number one connection, but now they want to use their people, and that's.
But what really helped me is, you know, just having confidence and knowing we did everything we could. We gave them the best price that we could. We serviced them to the best that we could, and there's nothing else we could do.
Right.
And just hope that they would see that and then come back to us. And I mean, most of the clients that do leave us and they go somewhere else, they do end up coming back.
Thank God.
Just because I feel like we do service our clients very well. And so that's super important. I had to learn how to let go of that, but it also helps you if you're growing and you're expanding your operations and your processes. You have to learn how to build in things so you keep in touch with those customers, so they don't go somewhere else. They don't have time to think about someone else doing their work. And just letting go of the personal aspect of loss. You just have to understand it's business.
I think you exactly. I think that's something that we used to talk about a lot, because it would bother you for days, and you would wear it. And I think anybody, when it's your business, it's your baby. It's everything you've done. So you take it personally because that's everything that you're about. And so you take it internally for some people, and instead of saying, like you said, it's just business. It's hard to literally change the way that you're thinking that it's business. Let go. It's okay. You're going to win some. You're going to lose some. You got to it's just part of business. Yeah. So if you have experienced some loss, just know that it's just part of business, and you just pick yourself up and you keep going, and you just do better, and you keep providing stellar customer service, products, designs, all that good stuff. So let's go. Since the podcast is geared towards building, growing, and sustaining $1 million wrap shop, what's something on this topic that speaks to the shop who is in the building phase of this business?
Just going back to what we were saying, I think if you're in that building phase, you have to learn how to let go of some of the tasks that you're doing and delegate. Because if you don't, a good leader can always delegate and guide someone. And if you can't do that, you're never going to grow. The business will never be bigger than you. And that's going to be a problem if you want to grow. Some people are okay with that. And then if you're still in that building phase, just learning how to let go of the emotional aspect of some of the things you were doing, like how I was passionate about design.
Mm-hmm.
You have to let it go, because I can't run the business and do everybody's design work and make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
and make sure every wrap is going out, flawless. I
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah. Was it Dolly the sheep that was cloned?
I
Was it
have no
Dolly?
idea.
I remember her name was Dolly, I think. So you can't clone yourself.
No.
And so what you have to do is create processes so that you can, in essence, teach people what it is in your brain and the processes that help you to think that way, so that you can have multiple of you, but in their own creative element, their own abilities and techniques. And honestly, that brings something new to the table that you don't already have.
Yeah.
So
Hold on. I want to dive right into something real quick. In the I can't remember the name of the book now. I think it's the
E-Myth one?
no.
Yes.
I'm going to pull it up because I think it's important. It's about dreaming big. It's so if you're not in the Rap IQ network,
Rap IQ network, how did they get involved?
they'll just Google Rap IQ, get up with John Doover, and sign up. But
So if you haven't already, sign up with John Doover.
So they have a book club actually, and I don't get to attend that stuff as much as I would like, but I am reading the book that they are reading, and it's called The Magic of Thinking Big.
By?
Let's see, who is it by? I don't know who it's by. Oh, David Schwartz. He's a PhD. So
The Magic of Thinking Big.
And so in the book, they're talking about Henry Ford, and they're talking about his knowledge of vehicles. And I'm sorry if this drug out a little bit.
I mean, we've talked about a few different things today, but I mean, hey, like I don't know, I kind of have ADD.
But it goes with delegating. So I really wanted to dive in this because it really stuck out to me, and it's something I heard my dad say a long time ago. But they had Henry Ford, and he was on the witness stand, and I forget what they were questioning him about, but they were basically saying that he was a fraud because he didn't know anything of a certain thing about the Ford engine or the car or whatever. And he says, that's true. I don't know. He says, but so-and-so who works for me can tell you everything about it. And so I just think what made me think of that was some of the things that I delegated to people. They're way smarter than I am, and they actually take what I delegated them and they elevated it to the next level, and they're doing a better job than I was. And I think when you learn to let go of some things and your hands are open to new ideas and to receive things, you'll get some of those surprises, and it's really awesome. Yeah. It's really awesome because sometimes when you're running a business, you think you're the smartest one in the business. Just
and
because
you don't
you're the boss.
Be, and you don't want to be, because you need people and people need you. We need a network. But I think John Maxwell, he always said, you want to surround yourself with people who are smarter and greater than you. Yeah. And so many other leaders.
Yeah. The saying is, if you're the dumbest one in your group of friends, then you need to find the smartest one. Sorry. Yeah. If you're the smartest one,
you might want to be the dumbest
in your circle, then you need to find a new circle.
So tell us about the growing phase. If you were in the growing phase, what would you?
Yeah, if you're growing, I think letting go of some of the old techniques and habits. Like, I mean, there's new products and new techniques coming out every day, and if you're going to grow and your business, there's new software coming out, new printers, new material, and that's what we're going to get to in just a second. You have to learn how to let go of those things.
Mm-hmm. So what about if they're in the phase of sustaining?
If you're sustaining your shop and you have to make sure that you're going to survive, you have to do all of those things.
I was going to say, go 1 through 4.
I mean,
delegate. Yeah. Let go of old habits, let go of old techniques, and let go of some of the customers and the personal connection that you feel when they have to go somewhere else and they do go somewhere else. Not that you
Yeah.
don't want to go after them and try to service them fully, but you have to understand that you just physically cannot and maybe mentally just do everybody's work
Yep.
as much as you want to, because you have the best. You just can't.
Having peace of mind knowing that you did the best you could do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just have to kind of rest in that and
Mhm.
know that there's nothing else you can do, and don't
Just
worry about
get better.
things. Don't worry about the things you can't change, because you can't.
So you said that you were going to talk about something new today, and it starts
Yeah.
with a
So I this is something I want to start doing on the podcast. Is I want to start doing some product reviews and just kind of going over some stuff that we've used that's actually surprised us and how well it works.
Mhm.
And so today we're going to be talking about Cheetah Wrap, and they are no way like affiliated with us or sponsoring us. If they want to, give me a call.
I mean, sponsors would be great.
Yeah. If they want to, I mean, sure.
No, I always like when I see that people don't have sponsors when I watch them, just because I know that they have no skin in the game and they're going to give you the information that's just really built up in their brain and what they've experienced and everything like that. Hey, but as far as $1 Million Podcast, yeah, we'd love some. So we welcome you. So talk about the Cheetah Wraps. How did you end up finding out about Cheetah Wraps?
Well, it's not Cheetah Wraps, it's Cheetah Wrap.
Well, when you
it's
wrap
a ma-
multiple of them, it's a wraps.
So it's a very inexpensive color change wrap film.
Mhm.
And it's actually made by Frank Fellers, who used to own Fellers,
Mhm.
who sold it, and it's his own vinyl brand. A lot of people don't like it because it's available to the public the same price that it's available to the shops. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody, eventually the rap industry is going to be so big, you're not going to be able to control all of that. You're
Mhm.
just not.
Mhm.
But
So
we
do what you can while you can.
we ordered it out of desperation one time, because it was during the shortage when a lot of people, a lot of the bigger companies, they weren't stocking some of these colors, and we needed a certain color. And
Was this pre-COVID, after COVID, during COVID?
after COVID,
After COVID.
when the supply chain started going nuts, and we ordered a roll of Cheetah Wrap. And when I first got it out of the box, I was like, okay, like it felt nice.
Mhm.
So I'll describe the way I feel vinyl, and you may or may not relate to this.
You
To me-
smell it.
To me, I do smell it. Listen. I get joked on about this all the time.
I know. I don't know
The
about you
smell-
getting joked on, but I do know that you smell it.
The smell of 3M vinyl. Oh, I mean, I don't know.
You're gonna eat it?
I probably would if I could.
Oh my god!
There's something about it. It actually
It
reminds
smells like
me.
money. That's what it smells like.
It costs a lot of money. It reminds me of when I opened my shop first,
Uh-huh.
and I used to walk in and smell. Smells bring you back to a certain time of
It's
your
a
life or
dopamine high for you.
Yeah. And so anytime we get a roll of 3M, I'm like sniffing it and they're looking at me weird.
I've been watching the Huberman podcast and he talks about dopamine.
I probably lost a few brain cells from that, but so whenever I got the Cheetah Wrap out of the box, it feels like a cross between Avery and 3M.
Mhm.
And well, it's kind of a mixture of Arlon, Avery, and 3M. That's their marketing plea, is that they took all the best properties about these films and they put them into one.
Mm.
And a lot of people were skeptical about it. A lot of people still are. It does exactly what we need it to do.
Mm-hmm.
We don't use it all the time. But it's an amazing film. If you have not tried it and you're looking for an inexpensive film to do chrome deletes, if you're looking to do hood wraps, roof wraps, full color changes, it's a good inexpensive film.
So it's a printable film,
I don't know
or
if
is
they
it
have
one
printable.
that they already have? They're
It's
already
a color change film, so
Okay.
they have an array of colors. But it really surprised me on how it performed.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was,
Did it stick? It stayed on the bumpers and the convex and concave surfaces?
it did. It stayed down very well without primer, which is great. So
and did it last?
as far as, I mean, the thing we wrapped with it was 2 years ago. Hasn't came back. I mean, it says that it has a pretty long life comparable to Avery and 3M. So I mean, I enjoy it. So if you
Check out the cheetah wrap.
if you
No S on that one.
if you so if you're looking for an inexpensive film, if you're maybe wanting to get into the color change game and you want an inexpensive film to try out Cheetah Wrap. I think their website's cheetahwrap.com. Listen,
right,
that was a
awesome.
free commercial, so
Yeah.
but that was our product review.
Yeah, product review with no money attached. So.
Yep.
All right.
So
Tell us about what we want to talk about next time. You got anything? Any little last minute nugget? What's on your playlist this week?
my playlist. Right now I'm listening.
For those of you who don't know, BT Brent Tatum, he is a musician himself, and he's a mighty fine one at that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I'm a little partial.
I have a studio in our
Madly
house,
love
and
you, so
I do love to write and record music. And but right now, let's see. I was listening to Thursday.
Yeah, and they're coming to this area.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
They're coming to the Myrtle Beach area. So here in the Myrtle
Thursday
Beach
is
area.
they're an older emo band.
War all the time.
Yeah, I also Rain City Drive, they're a good one. And then you have like some of so our kid right now is obsessed with Queen.
I knew you were gonna say this.
And so we've been listening to Queen and
Ad nauseum.
This-
That's Latin for to the point of sickness.
yeah, this boy, he walks around the house singing Queen all day. And
Yeah.
so
And then there's some lyrics that I'm just kind of, what? I didn't even know that was in there. So I was like,
it's still better than what's
we're
out
gonna-
right now.
Well,
honestly.
I mean, he doesn't listen to regular radio for the most part, unless there's like a
Well,
Post
that's-
Malone song that happens to be in the Spider-Man movie and different stuff
Yeah.
like that. And then your kids are 6 years old singing some sketchy things. But anyways, we try to keep it as clean as possible for our home and even on this podcast. And we hope that you enjoy the podcast, and we hope that you're getting encouraged and that you stay in the game. And anything else you want to add to that?
If you're building, growing, or sustaining,
Sustaining.
Whatever stage you're in, just stay motivated. Everybody's out here doing the same thing. We're all in the same boat together. Reach out to other shops, and if you need encouragement, just find what encourages you as a business owner, and stay
Let go.
motivated.
Let go where you need to let go so you can grow.
Learn to let go
so you can grow.
That's it. Learn to let go so you can grow. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening today.
Yes, thank you.
We'll see you again soon.
Yep.
This is the $1 Million Rap Shop Podcast.